Welcome, one and all, to Stone Soup Poetry. We still got people joining. Here's my obligatory still face smiling, because every time I try and get a still shot of me during the recording, I'm always going like this, or I'm doing this. So here's my obligatory Muppet-like smile. Okay, so with that out of the way, welcome everyone. Thanks for coming back. Last week's absence was unexpected, but I'm looking forward to announcing new features coming in for the next couple of weeks. For National Poetry Month, we got some exciting announcements to make. I just know it. They will be exciting. Just got to finalize a couple of the features, and we're going to go from there. Tonight's feature is DeWitt Clinton. As we just asserted, no affiliation with DeWitt Henry, who I actually did take a class with in Emerson. But DeWitt Clinton is a poet with a brand new book coming from, I believe, Word Poetry Press in Cincinnati.
Yes.
What's the title of that?
Hello there.
Hello. Oh, okay. Oh, hello there. Excellent. And so we're looking forward to hearing excerpts of that. If you want to support him, if you have any PayPal or Venmo links or Cash Apps, those are all the cool phone apps and websites the kids are using these days to transfer funds. Share with us that information, or at the very least, I'll send a link to your book so we can purchase it. So that's how we try and compensate the poets. That's our community plate, shall we say. Hey, Cece. And appreciate everyone being here. I appreciate everyone sharing the link, spreading the word, sharing the live stream. And we do have a feature. We do have a feature coming after the open mic. The open mic looks to be short and sweet, though we are getting some growing numbers. So we'll see what happens. Up next, or I should say up first. We do one poem piece, or one medium. We do one medium long poem, or 2 short, or 2 to 5 short poems. I'm not just getting 2 haikus and split. That sounds cruel. But this person puts on a little one-man show every time he comes on. He's a very shy man, as you can tell by his decor of strobe lights and
life is
disco.
beautiful, life is sweet. I'm the one you cannot beat. Chaz, my man, Chaz, my
A little
hero.
bird told me it's your birthday today, Bill.
Can't say zero.
A little bird told me it's your birthday coming up. Is that correct?
Yes.
And by little bird, I meant Facebook. But well, happy birthday in advance, and welcome to Mr. Bill Lewis, who's going to get us started on the open mic.
Yay! Excuse me. This should be brandy, but I'll just pretend it is. As many of you know, during the Lenten season, it is essential that you show proper obeisance and respect to the various and sundry gods to whom you owe your life and your existence. And in Sweden, during this season of hardship and want and cold, we take little feathers, and we take the little feathers and we put them on trees, and we will take birch trees, little birch branches, and we will cover them with feathers of all different colors, and we will think that this is the most beautiful thing we have. And then, of course, multiple colors of the various pastels are expected to be exceedingly useful. And so this is why we do it. I don't actually know why we do it, but we've always done it that way. And that is important to understand in most societies in the world, that why do you do it like that? We've always done it like that. These damn Americans who don't know how to do anything that causes problems. But nonetheless, roses. Stop and smell the roses, they admonish us in poems and prose and posters. Yes, smell the roses. We all exclaim, life's too short to hurry through. And then we hurry through the garden, down the walk, across the square. They'll be there tomorrow. Smell the roses is a metaphor, you know. It doesn't mean you should stick your nose up a flower. Appreciate your friends, it means. Take time to talk with others. Love your mothers, love your dads. Perkins and Elmer's doesn't even hybridize their roses for smell. No one notices, no one cares. Pink peace stands tall and proud, resists rusts and aphids. White lightning blooms through November and bursts 1,000 blooms upon a year. What good is fragrance? You can't touch it, you can't see it in a photo, you don't even know it's there. Hybrid teas need strong peduncles, not strong odors. Floribundas need petals and petals and petals, not perfumes. Perfumes for Coco Chanel and Louis Vuitton, not rose blossoms. I have never seen another person walking down the street to stop and sniff their neighbor's rose. Their gardens lie lovely, green, and virginal, undisturbed by anyone save the bees. Well, save the bees and me. Perhaps I'm part bee. We share their fragrances, the bees and me. I can hardly pass a bush without taking a whiff. Perhaps I don't have enough to do. I'm sure that I should be twice as rich were it not for my neighbor's blossoms. I know I could sue, but I know I won't. And so I walk and sniff and pet his cat and calm his barking dog, then amble past the cafe while we'll scribble doggerel verse. What a life.
Thank you very much, Bill. Thanks for opening and happy birthday again. I'm sure I'll post something on the Stone Soup Facebook page. We're going to welcome next our one phone contributor tonight. Again, if anyone knows what's up with Carol Weston, let me know in the chat. Just can't seem to find her. But we do have our other phone communicator. Someone joining Zoom strictly by phone, and she's been with us almost since the beginning as well. I'm going to ask her to press *6 so she can unmute, and then we'll hear from Miss Nancy Dotson.
Temperament. Oh, clouds that break when thunder collapses. Oh, rain which dissolves with wetness. Lightning, I fear you, do not kill. Sun, come, do not let the clouds leak through. Come, delights and joyful always. Sunny day, carefree and going. Play, play, play.
Thank you, Nancy. Missed you guys. Missed you, Nancy, from last week. Missed all you guys. Let's welcome up next to the open mic. He is not only a poet and a past Stone Soup feature here on the online world, but he's also a writer of suspense fiction, kind of our hard-boiled poet in residence. Let's welcome up Mr. John Wesick.
Thanks. This is called Dangerous Vegetables. Spiteful as landmines, root vegetables lie in wait. A carrot can blow off a man's foot while turnips pack enough C4 to take out an M1 Abrams tank. I've known of vegetables duplicity ever since Mom first served boiled spinach, creamed corn races motorcycles without a helmet, while artichokes wrap piano wire around their stalks to strangle unsuspecting victims. Sweet potatoes fling lawn darts on the playground. Onions do backflips off the trampoline. Bell peppers smoke in bed. Squash leaves a space heater too close to the curtains. Iceberg lettuce sinks the Titanic. Ferment cabbage with little salt, and they annex the Sudetan land. Watercress torpedoes merchant ships. Daikon radishes eel bonsai, only to have their suicide charge met with habaneros, flamethrowers. Most insidious of all, beets shoulder Kalashnikovs while installing SS-4 missiles in Cuba. So when the USDA recommends 5 servings a day, you'd better turn that food pyramid upside down. Mustard greens, mustard gas. I don't think so.
That's wonderful.
Bravo, bravo, bravo. You're a madman. You're insane. Bravo.
Like I said, our hard-boiled poet in residence.
Thanks,
That's
everybody.
And up next, I'm going to welcome up, I think, excuse me, she might have unmuted in anticipation already. Oh, no, she's back to muted. But Jan Rowe, if you're ready, you can unmute yourself now and have a go at it.
That was wonderful. That was wonderful. I'm just going to say something. I was at open mic yesterday at Sprout Hall, the Cathedral of St. Paul, Park Street. We do the writers group in the morning and open mic in the afternoon. They're out on the porch in the summer. This is just something I put together yesterday. It's called Time Travel. 54 BC. Calpurnia told Julius Caesar not to go that day. Why didn't he listen to his wife? My friend there showed a bottle of classic Caesar dressing, salad dressing with a knife through it. Okay, so that was the Ides of March. Then we're going to go to the 1970s, where the Kentucky coal miner felt like he shouldn't go to work, and he shouldn't have, because he was exploded with many others. This was Duke's captive coal mine. In the 70s, their housing for their coal miners, no running water, no inside toilets. Duke Corporation, David Duke, the KKK. So that's 1970s, just saw Harlan County. I had repressed it. Senator Ron Paul doesn't seem to remember it. I don't even know about Mitch. Now we're going to go to time travel back to 471. Poor Patrick. I mean, if he's a slave shepherd while his contemporaries were getting educated, and he kind of felt bad about that, never caught up. But his 2 writings are the only ones that survive from that period, and not his learned contemporaries. Thank you.
Thank you, Jan, feisty as ever. Let's see who we have next. I'm going to bring up our other person who's, we never see his face, so technically I see him as a phone contributor. I'm going to ask him to unmute himself. It is Mr. Chris Fitzgerald. Are you ready, sir? Chris might be indisposed as of this moment. All right. Let's see. All right, then we're going to go to our next person. Hopefully Chris can come back to us. I know he has bad connections, but usually when he's been on this long, he's okay. So we'll go to, let's see if Cecilia Chagra, poet, musician, producer, radio host, and web designer, group leader, doer of many things. I think you just unmuted yourself, CC.
Yeah,
so,
can I get like a go one after the next person?
okay. All right.
I'm
Here we
pull.
go.
I'm looking for a poem to do.
No problem. Mary Jennings, if you don't want to go yet, I can go.
Oh, I can go.
Okay,
Yeah,
sounds good. Ladies and gentlemen.
yeah. I thought
wonderful.
it was going to take me some time to, but I'm faster than I thought.
There you go.
Okay, so a couple of years ago, I read an old poem about the end of a relationship, and yeah, I had read it because at the time, the person in the poem had passed on after battling cancer for mm, battling cancer for 13 years. And I said I was going to write a follow-up to the poem, and it's taken me about 2 years to finally finish it. The first poem was called "Inwardly at War," and the follow-up poem is called "Outwardly at Peace." Outwardly at peace, you have finally fled the earth and all its detritus, the debt and the delusions, clutter and collectibles, handed down gladly to your avaricious first wife and hostile oldest daughter, teaching them there would be no quick road to riches through you. A lifetime spent of finding opportunity, seeking sobriety, nursing bad habits and insecurities, regretting not being a full-time father, but also being of service and living with gusto, ending in memory lapses, bad investments, cancer returning. That was my breakup poem for you, neither vindictive nor pleading. We almost made it back to the loft, but it reminded me why we could never cohabitate. Our needs and personal styles, our set ways clashed terribly, but outwardly, outside the home, we got along great. When the end was coming, I proposed, let's go to Port Orange, where you want to be in the sun. Rents are cheaper and I can swing it. You just pay utilities. You laughed and said, you'll be my friend with benefits? Sure, why not, I said. You turned me down flat but gently, saying you're not afraid to die. And if we knew then what is happening now, we know moving there would be signing our death warrants. When the end came, you stayed in the area, near family, quietly slipping away to a rest home to die in comfort. Last luxury left to you in a less than luxurious life. Dying just in time to share a 9-mile-long cigarette with John Prine. What you taught me was enough to tend to priorities, build a foundation, but we can still have the music and poetry. Bless our near bliss. It has not soured us. Thank you.
If there's anyone who hasn't, who doesn't remember Mary Jennings' feature, you should go back and revisit it. It is on YouTube. Look up her name and comma Stone Soup So Poetry. She was one of our first online features of the year and did a bang up job, as most people suspected. I'm gonna see. I'm gonna try one more time to see if it looks like Chris Fitzgerald came off and came on again. So I'm gonna ask him to unmute himself if he can hear me. If he's able to unmute, and then we can hear his turn, his poem. Chris, are you there? Or am I on mute? I am not. Chris, are you there? I feel bad for Chris's bad luck tonight. I don't know why he's not able to unmute, but
I'm ready to go now.
okay. All right, we'll put a pin on Chris. And I guess we'll go to our other everyman poet, our other poet of many trades, poet, writer, videographer, producer, radio host, many hats. And he's ready to go right now. I'm running out of nouns in my head. It's been a long day at work. Let's welcome up Mr. CC Oshagra.
Okay, thank you. And hi, everyone. It's always good to see everyone here. Jan, thanks for pushing the envelope there. Patrick's Day, you went deep. I love it. We should not be silenced. Um, as you know, 20 years ago, I wrote the open microphone poems, the 3 chapbooks. For those of you that still have them and you're lucky enough to have a copy, I saw one sell for $50 on the internet. I believe I got a beer for them. So that's coming together, and it finally, after what's happening with the planetary shutdown, this is the new cover. I don't know if you guys can see that, but it says poems at the bottom there, and that I've with my research and what I've been doing with copyright and catalog and publication, and the fact that I just spent the last 3 months writing 3 pieces that are going to be included in that book. So after the poems are republished, there's going to be 3 sections called Reflection 1, 2, and 3, which is my understanding of what happened to this work 20 years later and how it survived time, in addition to some names that are going to appear on the back of the book that I'm just blessed to have, and that'll be. But in the subtitle, and the reason I'm mentioning this now, and then I'll read my poem, is I'm going to change the subtitle, and it's in this. And I want you to open your minds about this one. This work being released 20 years later is not a book of poems. It's in the form of poetry, but it's really a study of free speech. And the number of open mics that I went to, and the way that I stopped my life in writing my books to do this work, to document who we are, what we went through, and what are our lessons. What is it that we are learning as a life form, given a microphone to say anything we want. And we're not killed for that. And that story goes back to my grandfather and my name and all that. But the subtitle is going to be Human Rights, Free Speech, and the Written Word. The Open Microphone is the name of the new book. And it's hopefully going to be out National Poetry Month, but it'll be done when it's done. You know, those things take time. In the meantime, the National Beat Poetry Foundation just put together a couple of beautiful events. One was for women, and it was a goddess poetry reading, and everyone was welcome. And the other one was Jack Kerouac's 100-year birthday. Well, I wrote something for the women's goddess poetry reading that they put on, and I've never received such feedback from a poem than this one, and I'll share it with you now. It's beyond me. It really is. This should have been written long ago, and we shouldn't even have an issue about what's in here. It's called Man of Woman. Man of woman, to understand the death of his phallic dominion, he has no rule over her. She is never a gender slave of his ignorant sperm's drive. She is not here to be inhumanity breeding. The only protection he was born to provide is to being, always choosing to breathe his empathy into her. We are soul forms accountable to death, constantly dying. We are here to fall into love learns, to become the equal of her emotional heat, her soul aflame. She is not here to become slavery in the making, manufacturing worth by mass producing competing worthlessness, as if she must become his ignorance to be equal or free of womb's nature for all. A male is nothing if he refuses to wear the mirror of her living womb. His vulnerability to be his strength is the end of his weak machismo. With or without his merge with true love living, never possessing her choice to choose love, constantly moving into the equilibrium of alive with her. Time dies, love lives. There is no waste of love, lest you waste it was here and possible. Alone, he is still given a choice to balance life and death, to share life's high wire with her, not be the sorry waste of every unknown orgasm leading him into rape culture. His every moment's possible death to his every moment's possible death, her welcome into her welcome arms, I think it should say. The air of emptiness comes leaving no blame. To love beyond debt or debtor, giving her the choice to receive and not take love. Her pleasure is his choice to give his body to her lust's liberty and freed choice, not be ignorant as a full-grown sperm walking a cradle-to-grave existence, a male occupying no more than the excuse of a man on top of her. Man is of woman to earn her wonder. And I'm sorry if I didn't do the best job reading that. I don't know if I hit the right print button, but yeah, had a lot of fun writing that for the event and reading it. And again, I'm overwhelmed by the response to that. And love you all, and right on. Thank you.
Thank you, Cece. And let us know when the book is done. We still have features coming up. Slots to fill. And I hope to have a surprise to announce in April for Stone Soup. At the very least, we're going to introduce to the audience what could arguably be Stone Soup's first legacy poet. And it's, in other words, another generation from the old ranks. That's all I'll say for now. But it's kind of amazing. Whoever you think it is, you're wrong. But because this one came out of nowhere for me on my Facebook Messenger, and I'm excited to see what's going to happen. I should also mention that the academic record, the archive records, the extras that were going to be thrown away if we didn't pick them up, they were delivered to me. I have them. I'm hopefully going to be sharing some archives online of stuff that I have never seen in my 15 years. And I'll hopefully talk to David Miller to see if we can find an alternative home for them. I mean, arguably, I might be able to find a home for them in the archive section of my works, which are archived at my old alma mater at Framingham State. But I'd rather not put all my eggshells on bet all my eggs on that. And I'd rather trust the retired librarian and David Miller. So a lot of exciting stuff is going to happen. A lot of exciting stuff has happened. Keep checking out the Stone Soup Facebook page and or any of my pages. And things will be announced and things will be shared. Oh, and for anyone who's interested in celebrating National Poetry Month, there's also a National Poetry Writing Month challenge, which has been going on for, I think at least 20 years now. It was started by poet Maureen Thorson, and the challenge is to write a poem, one poem per day for 30 days of April. And a lot of people create contests over this. A lot of people have created chapbooks from this. A lot of people do shared blogs or websites. And there's actually one website where you can, there's actually one NaPoWriMo, as they call it now, or they're actually calling it GloPoWriMo, because they're including the fact that there are people all over the world are taking part of this challenge. So a lot of people call it now Global Poetry Writing Month. There's a website that I'll link to later next week that where you can, not if you have a blog or a website yourself and you want to participate, you can share that, or you can take part in the daily writing prompts and look at examples of people who are putting the work out there. So that's just a couple of things to look forward to in the next few weeks. I'm looking forward to National Poetry Writing Month. Again, it'll be a good way to put a fire under myself because I've been kind of lax ever since my time with the COVID. But But for those of you who've never considered doing this, never considered doing this before, now might be a really good time. So now, without any, oh, and I almost forgot, we have to move on to our two closing people. Actually, I'm going to ask Chris Fitzgerald one more time if he's able to participate. And it looks like he's not able to. So we'll put a pin on him for later, and we'll introduce Mr. Ethan Mackler for our musical interlude before we get our closer for the open mic. Hey, Ethan.
Hey, hello. Hello.
Hey,
everyone.
Ethan.
Hey.
Thank you very much. Mr. Ethan Mackler is also a member of the Garage Poets, a musical poetry troupe. And they actually have an open mic extension of that group. And they've been performing not only online, but also in select appearances in Linfield, in Lynn, Mass, and other places. I believe Somerville too, where they performed at the Out of the Blue, if I'm not mistaken, the Out of the Blue Art Gallery. If you want to, definitely hit Ethan up if you want some information on the open mic and other possible Garage Poet shows. Is there anything coming up in the next couple of weeks, Mr. Mackler?
Yes, there is. I believe next week, Wednesday, we are the open mic feature for the Speak Up open mic at the Walnut Street Cafe in Lynn.
Is that in Lynn? Yeah, that's in Lynn.
Yes, and then that Friday is our usual monthly appearance at the same place, Walnut Street Cafe in Lynn.
Very nice.
And Jeff just contacted me, Jeff Taylor, one of the poets. He recently unearthed a bunch of VHS footage of us performing in the past. And I think it's from like 2001.
Oh, nice.
There's a Boston Poetry Awards appearance. So I'm assuming he has stuff with like Billy Barnum and others.
That would be fantastic. Can't wait to see what comes of that.
So I want to see it, but I'm also kind of afraid to see it.
Well, we'll see what happens. Money talks. I'll see if I can, maybe I'll be willing to pay for it to get transcribed, because it's not that expensive if it's only 1 or 2 VHS tapes and they're not as bad.
Well, he works in AV, so I mean, I'm assuming he has the means to transfer it.
Nice.
I'm guessing he's going to transfer it anyways.
That'll be amazing. I look forward to it.
Oh, I hate to jump in, Ethan, if he could transfer 8mm to digital, definitely have him call me.
Oh, 8mm. Wow.
I got eons of I have 156 8mm I can't watch.
Yeah, contact him. I'm not the one with the gear, so yeah, message him on Facebook. See what he's got.
Sounds great. Looking, like I said, a lot of new possibilities for the new year. And we're going to end our open mic before we get to our beloved patient feature. He's been listening to us. I can't wait for all of us to listen to him. But we're going to end off with our regular contributor to the open mic, our penultimate closer, and contributor to Oddball Magazine. Check out oddballmagazine.com. Consider submitting. We're especially looking for pride pieces for every Friday, and some timely pieces for the Ukraine have definitely been coming in, and we're looking for more for similar poetry on that as well. This person coming up contributes a weekly poem, what we call a poem column. It's called "It's All One Thing," and it features at oddballmagazine.com every Thursday without fail at 11 in the morning. So without further ado, Mr. James Van Looy.
Thank you. Thank you, Chad. So I have a poem here called Fighting the Invisible Dragon on the Playground Arches. Fighting the Invisible Dragon on the Playground Arches. Just as the littlest one tells us she is fighting the invisible dragon on the apex of the playground arches, my old posters from the 70s has been published in stone's throw as the back cover of the continuation of founder Jack Power's Sidewalk Stethoscope series from so long ago, back in olden time days. I can suddenly see everything, and indeed all that must be done, even as it is just as obvious how difficult it will be to do it all. The conservatives are so sure that growing consensus of Cold War triumphalism is forever, even as the hugest technological transformation yet ricochets through the social structure, and the world of spirit becomes ever more literal, even as the absolute material world is swallowed by a gaping hole of virtual nothingness. There's the littlest one, changing clothes every time she changes her mood. There's a wholly new story up at the apex of the tripod playground apparatus where she pokes the dragon we cannot see and tells us she is fighting the invisible, except it sounds like visible dragging to me because she's 3 1/2 and I never had a great ear to begin with. Overseas, that land of my youth, where mysteriously the long ago used to hate us for bringing them freedom and human rights, the bombs are falling again on Iraq and now Syria, and still, of course, Yemen and Somalia and Pakistan and Afghanistan, the APAC border, the new caliphate, the gateway to the Red Sea and the Suez Canal. The tomahawks flare off ship decks and the hellfires rain down from droning drones. It's all digital as I work out analog anecdote, concrete me, Mr. Modern Mime, still exploring, still elaborating the performance art counterculture movement of the last great crisis, as the current age crisis deepens and goes into the second stage, inevitably overtaking the failed leadership, which time after time can't get one thing right with all their expertise, all their technology, which only creates more chaos, ever increasing systematic instability, governments which do not govern, economic systems that bubble and bust, financial order that concentrates wealth in a top-heavy structure that skewers the social space, that swirls around us in a global dragon of yin-yang connections, where ever more wealth unrecorded flies at light speed through shadow banks, dragon of the new world order, really dragon of ancient Oriental energy, flashing global energy that wants to be and become as old world dragon of terror and enchanted virgins waiting to be devoured, still rules the world with bombs and beheadings. Oh yes, heads will roll in Chop Chop Square, and in the desert they made of the Fertile Crescent, and the bombs blow on the tectonic plates of civilizations, while the future of the culture of life, that was just the way it's always been, while the seekers of the Renaissance just want to mitigate complete climate change. And a little girl at the apex of the tripod playground apparatus fights the dragon of revolutionary times only she can see. And let me sing a quick song. Sometimes I wonder why I spend the lonely night dreaming of a song, the melody haunts my reverie, and I am once again with you when our love was new, and each kiss and inspiration, but that was long ago. Now my consolation is in the stardust of a song beside the garden wall when stars are bright. You are in my arms. The nightingale tells that fairy tale of paradise where roses grew. Though I dream in vain, in my heart it will remain, my stardust melody, the memory of love's refrain. And Ogie Carmichael made that famous, of course. Thank you.
Thank you, James. And it looks like Chris Fitzgerald finally joined us. So Chris, if you want to be the new closer, after trying so many times, I think we can hear you now.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
All right, great. Two little 1-minute pieces. They're both face-to-face pieces. One written 14 days ago, the other 35 years ago. This work isn't from memory, nor is it from self-awareness. It isn't from stream of consciousness. It's when the language seems to be in a good mood and looking for a good time. I mentioned in my last piece, my whole life is basically revolved around the approval of women's faces. This is how the whole thing started. My first 6 months, I spent most of my waking time with this 35-year-old woman with her incessant smile and coo and lap. And mind you, 3-4 months in, I was throwing it right back at her. She wasn't the only one who knew how to bring a little joy to the world they shared. The female names I liked at the time were Denise or Debbie. She called herself Mum. I could deal with that. After all, I did enter the world courtesy of this between her legs. Well, at the time, I thought it was a pretty cool circus trick that she had learned from an earlier time. I gave her credit, nay, extra credit from that. We liked each other from the get-go. That was the secret. And when she died 60 years later, when she left to live in 60 years later, I could count on one hand. Nay, give the devil his due, smarty pants. I could count on 2 hands the number of times her cheeks didn't light up when she saw me. And this one is called The Lady with the First Step. You know, baby, I like you so much that everybody who isn't you, I don't like. Not that they bother me or owe me money or something. Oh, they're all right. Your face, I can look at it 1,000 hours without getting tired for one moment. Your body, impossible for me to associate an unpleasant ounce concerning it. The way you move, your first step, you instantly break into such a graceful glide. I never knew someone could start out so well. Oh, I know, Fred and Ginger. Fred and Ginger, nothing. 2 steps it took them, 2 steps. Belinsky, 2.5. Kolochov, 3, 4 during the matinees. You know, baby, I not only love the way you look, I love the way you look at me. Indeed, that's the way I should have been looked at from the get-go. Then again, what should I ever have expected from this group whose first step I hadn't even noticed? Thank you.
Thank you very much, Chris. And we will now go.
So you
to our-
heard that clearly?
Yes, we did, Chris. Thank you.
Good.
Okay. Everyone's muted now. We're going to go to the feature, and thanks to everyone for listening. Stay tuned to this Facebook page for more news to come, and it's hopefully something in the next couple of days. But for now, our feature has been waiting, and it's time to give our introduction, our appreciation by reading the boilerplate bio. Everyone has. I always love the boilerplate, and this one taught me a lot because this is my first time listening to Mr. Clinton as well. DeWitt Clinton taught English, creative writing, and World of Ideas courses for over 30 years at the University of Wisconsin and Whitewater. His earlier collections of poetry include The Conquistador, Dog Texts, The Coyote, Inca Texts, all those from New Rivers Press, apparently, and also At the End of the War by Kelsey Books in 2018, By a Lake Near a Moon, Fishing with the Chinese Masters, that's from Isaros Press 2020, and his newest collection, Hello There, from World Tech Communications 2021. He is a student of Livingar Yoga, and he occasionally substitutes as a yoga instructor for seniors at the village of Shorewood in Wisconsin. Ladies and gentlemen, we're in for a real treat. One of the great benefits of Stone Soup going national, perhaps global someday, if someone from another country actually is able to join us on their time. One of the benefits has been able to meet an array of voices from all over the place, and to reunite with people who are on the other side of the country or the other side of the world. Hoping to get Yuri Hofstadter on here. We missed Philip J. Curtis from his feature a while ago. Hopefully he'll come back. Tonight, we are introduced to the works of DeWitt Clinton. Put your hands together 30, 40 times, lend him your ears, and he'll lend you much more. Ladies and gentlemen, Mr. Clinton.
Hi, everyone. I'm being blinded by Bill Lewis's light show. I'll try not to look at it. This is a new book from Word Tech Communications. One of the programs he has is Word Poetry. It's from Cincinnati. This is a book that's quite different from what I've been writing in the past, because I wanted to give you a little introduction, because some of you know each other's work and I'm learning about yours, and I wanted to tell you a bit about mine. I have been an objective poet. By that I mean I look at texts and art and music. I look at things of the world and write about the world. I don't write about me. But the world pandemic has frightened me to death. And though it didn't take my wife, she died during this time. So something happened in the kind of writing that I was developing, and it became very emotional. I identified with feelings I don't think I've ever had before. So everybody's telling me that's good, but it's quite new for me. I'll read a few. I'll set my timer so I don't go over. And please make sure to use the chat when you say, please, no more. I'll try to keep this short. Something. We have to find stuff every day, or we'll run out of stuff every day. But finding stuff with you, that has made all the difference. We need gas to go somewhere. We need food to keep going somehow. We need lots of prescriptions, as we're not as young as we'd like. We don't need help yet going down the stairs, but pretty soon one of us will probably hold the other going up, maybe down. We do need each other's hands to know we're just that far away. We're okay on air, though one of us got junky stuff down there and had docs and nurses for days and days. But that's all over now, for now. We're salting less, so when we're out in something salty, we talk a lot about the salt. In company, we try very hard not to talk about what hurts, but then almost everyone is talking about what hurts. even if it's painful politics that make us blab on so. We still shampoo and shave as the public view is still something we don't ever want to forget just yet. We're not into earth colors anymore, as will be earth colors soon enough. One of us uses a walker and the other is learning how to race and walk. But we always arrive on the day someone thinks we're expected, even if we're not. We both have wondered why not that is something both of us can nod about. We howl and howl over terrible dog and cat shows and wonder what's going on with our constantly shrinking brains that make us curl up on the floor over some of the most idiotic scenes. But then we're really glad to be able to find a way to get ourselves back up and ready for something. Of course, it doesn't really matter so much anymore as long as there's just something more. I wish I had a picture to put up onto your screen. It would be The Fall of Icarus, a medieval painting that maybe everyone's seen or heard about or written or read poems about it.
Bruegel painting is made famous by William Carlos Williams.
Absolutely.
Yes.
And I found on the internet something called a study guide, The Fall of Icarus, for Ms. Hansen's English 9 Power Slide 7. I was just amazed that anyone would ask these kinds of questions about this extraordinary painting. Question 1, what is the subject of the painting? Hint, it is not Icarus. I like the plowman's head pointed down to earth, just like his horse looks down to see where to step. Everybody says, look up, lift your gaze, look ahead. So see what's going on when plowing the earth up for spring planting. If he doesn't look down, he won't see a big old rock that might bust his blade. And then what's the horse good for? I like the plowman's shirt. Question 2, list what the various people, plowman, shepherd, fisherman, crew, are doing. They're all going about their business, though I don't know much about the businesses. Haven't you noticed? Nobody notices what everybody else is doing. Isn't that what we notice? By the way, this is a ninth grade kid making these answers. Or I'm trying to make a ninth grade kid. Identify the event that is going on. The guy with the red head who points, he's not about to jump into and save the poor nincompoop. He just wants to point like the guy who says, I'm just a monitor. He's the monitor who sees a boy falling with wings of hot wax and charcoal feathers. But maybe he just sees 2 legs in the ocean. The other day I read about a body pulled out of the lake and nobody helped him out. Question, other than his father Daedalus, who will mourn Icarus? Base your answer on evidence in the painting and not conjecture. Well, as soon as that leg sinks below, everybody's going to turn around and just keep on doing what they were doing before the big tragedy, though no one really thinks it's a big tragedy. Maybe even the painter didn't think it was such a big tragedy. Maybe he just had some extra red paint he wanted to get off of his brush. Who knows? Last question. Based on the evidence in the painting, what is the artist's view or attitude about Icarus's falling to his death? Well, a lot more things are noticed by the artist. For example, he likes white cliffs and white clouds and white sunlight and white sails and white sheep and white shirts and white towns, but he did a pretty good job with a couple of dabs of red. Where did he get that red? So I like painting poems. I wanted to let you know this book is called Hello There from Word Poetry, and it's available through Amazon, if you like, very easily. I'll tell you about the house I live in, or the house we lived in, because now it's just one person. It used to be 2. So I'm working on plural pronouns and singular pronouns. They're a little confusing for me now. Our house is a large containment unit for burglars, rapists, murderers, car thieves, and so many who have assault records. It's hard to know anymore where to bed them down every night, but we do march them into a tiny little box of pixels where they won't hurt anyone, or at least we hope so. We give them crackers and cheese to make it through the night. Our house is a small chain of online clothing and warehouse fashions. Items of tops and dresses and sweaters and pants and t-shirts and jammies and coats and gloves and scarves and boots and way too many shoes and underwear. Our house is an ever-changing grocery aisle of foods from all nations, kept frozen in the kitchen or in the basement or in the pantry or in the icebox or out on the counters for easy reach. Recyclables always go in the big black bag out back. At night in our house, and sometimes in the late afternoons, we entertain ambassadors, emissaries, presidents, speakers of houses, chairs of committees, all representatives of foreign governments who visit us and complain a lot over the waves of pixels. Breaking news always comes into our house with exciting music. In our bedroom, we've hosted extraterrestrials, big bad bugs, bacteria, bomb blasts, just about everything that goes gooey if stepped on or smashed. But we have spray cans to defend ourselves from big green flies if any try to break through the tinty screen. One flick of the remote and all vanish. In our house, we are always looking out the windows after Scully and Mulder scare away the aliens. And so that particular poem goes on for a few more pages, so I'll give you just a sense of it. So this is a goodbye poem before my wife went goodbye. I sort of imagined what was going to be happening. It's called Life Without You. If you have a companion, you might be able to relate to this. Once on the other side, no more hello, dear, to hear hello. That'd be the cat, of course, and maybe another one just to make a home with two instead of one. What will I do with all these clothes, all of them hanging downstairs, each perfumed with you? The sheets, who would decide the color of the sheets this week? That was always up to you. Maybe I'd sleep more. No more up and down, old boards creaking through the night. All those saved TV shows. Who wants to see all those murderers show up again? Maybe I'll take some of the blue ones. What do the blue ones do? There's a drawer full of underwear. There's more downstairs. Some just arrived in the mail. If I could have anything, then maybe I'll just look at your diamond ring. No trips to the burial grounds. Been there once, that's enough. Maybe I'll rent a movie. No need to whisper if you're not here. Maybe I'll just start to walk. Maybe I can walk all the way to work. You're right, I'll start dusting. Maybe the blue sheets will do. If everyone can, would you raise your hand, this is a little poll, if you've taken out the trash? There we go. Oh, that's fun. All right, very good. Did you take the trash out, dear? It's late, as you know, or may not know, though you may have a few extra minutes before lights are turned out for all of us. But I seem to remember so many light bulbs are burning out faster than I can find the stepladder to step up into the next layer of light to make the tricky turns so as to not separate the bulb from the screwy as I've done this and find I'm now down in the basement with flashlight, looking at the updated fuse box to see which has flipped even slightly. Flip for these days, unless you're the expert, it's harder and harder to tell, but that's not really why we're here, is it? As I've sensed everything important is slowing down. But please don't call anyone, as that'd be embarrassing, but don't you too feel something is just not right anymore? As the light seems to be dimming all around, not just in our little brick house, which has ample lighting, of course, but I'll admit I'm walking slower than I have, and when I do, I sense a slight tilting or drifting, as it's hard to stay on that fine line, looking a bit screwy like I've had too much to drink, which might be true, but then the zigging and the zagging of walking down the block happens even without evening refreshments. And another thing that's odd is that the plates are a bit smaller than they used to be. And I have no problem with that. Just that the appetite is like the smaller plate. And we've even gone to plastic spoons. Why? I'm not sure, but the wife says they're pretty, aren't they? And I do agree. But there's something out there. Don't you see it too? That's making everything a bit dimmer, duller. Or perhaps it's just that time of the year when all the snow is turned to a dirty gray pile. But I'm quite optimistic. Not about any of this, but just pressing the old nose up close to something, even if it is sniffing out. What? As in, what's that? Let's try that again. Just pressing the old nose up close to something, even if it is sniffing out, what's that? And yet I don't remember that being there. Wasn't it over there? Maybe these things don't ever bother you and they don't exactly bother me, but there's just something which I can't quite take out to the trash. But even if I did take out what stinks so, it'd be sitting on the curb for a week. And then the neighbor would walk by and wonder what kind of bad that old bloke is trying to pull over. Though no one has the nerve so far to call the local sheriff to see if someone else might move what seems so horribly wrong. Right there. But can't you see it too? It's right there, and I don't really have too much more time with what seems so off, as the Brits say sometimes, when something isn't as fresh as it could be. But then nothing quite appears anymore to be quite what it could be, does it? So the poems get a lot more grim as we're frightened to death of COVID and all those things. This next poem, I don't want you to take personally. It's not about you, but it was fun to write. Called Don't Be Stupid. Stars are out there, everywhere, all the time. Try not to think about this all the time. Those stars, they're everywhere, even in us all the time. Don't be stupid about this. Try not to think about this all the time. If it's important to you where space ends, you may not be picking up the clothes you always drop on the floor for someone else to pick up. Learn to pick up all the time. Mountains change, rivers changes, weather changes. Volcanoes are still erupting. It's colder some days. Why is this so hard to understand? Don't think about it. We can't remember everything that's happened. That's why we always mess things up. That's not hard, is it? Don't be stupid. Another person is a person to appreciate. You can't appreciate only those who look and act like you. This isn't hard, but don't be so afraid. Take a deep breath. Stop doing that. Whatever it is you're doing, stop that. Why are you this old and you are still acting like that? This isn't hard. It takes just practice. Don't think about it. Of course we are water. It goes in every day. We wash up, we wash what's dirty. We are in awe of its beauty. If you don't know that, wade in, go under, hold your breath. Stop asking for applause. Do what you need to do well. What's hard to understand about that? Are you still that needy? The best line of the movie was, will it help? So stop worrying. When has worrying ever helped you to get things straight? We are all here standing in line. You can't make us go away like that. Stop blathering. So you look silly doing that. Are you a busy person? Nothing to admire there. Everything else in the cosmos is not busy, but it's there. Staying busy will tire you out. Take a 2-minute timeout. Are you feeling any better? You know, there are no truths. I know that's hard, but get used to it. Don't think about it ever again. Just try doing everything you've done better. That's all. So the poems are long. Some of them are angry. Some of them are express frustration. Some of them are like harangues. Some of them are argumentative. It's like a dramatic monologue during the pandemic. It's something like that. And here's the title poem. We have a lovely neighbor who's in her 80s. She cycles every season of the year, in snow or not. She lost her husband a few years ago. Every once in a while, she rides her bike by our house. We're going out for dinner. And this poem I wrote a few days after. It's called Hello There. But in her voice, it would be, hello there. The elder of our tiny neighborhood cycled by just in time for neither of us to know who said what. But then it doesn't really matter, does it? As we're on our way to somewhere. But now that you ask, I'm not even sure where we thought we were headed. But certainly headed somewhere. You in your fancy white new outfit, me in a pair of dark pants and a pink shirt, off to a meal to share with someone, though we still don't know who that might be or how well the night will go. But isn't that pretty much how it goes most of the time we set out on a drive to go somewhere? Even if we don't know exactly when we'll arrive or even leave, or worse, never arriving back. Where we started this evening, not ever arriving back where we started this evening, when the old one down the road waved us by. And the two of us barely had enough time to look up to see who it was that was kind enough to wish us a simple hello. But then none of us expected to sit down on the curb and hear about all the surus passing through each one of us. And for the most part, it's probably better to just keep on moving, trying not to stop to figure what in the world just happened that will make our tiny lives even more miserable than they were yesterday. But somehow, that's the pulse most of us have these days, pushing the old misery back as far as we humanly can, and hoping a friendly voice who doesn't expect anything in return lifts a voice that's barely there anymore as she pedals away on our old road, lifting her wobbly arm once again, but now she's fading into the end of the day. And then you ask, who was that? Oh, she's down the road. She lost her husband a few years ago. Even so, we see her fading away in the evening light, almost gone, hearing in the distance, something with a wave and a sweet echo of, hello there. Thank you. It's enjoyable to be with you all. Thank you, Chad.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. I'm going to put a link up to the book tomorrow when I post the video and everything else. But DeWitt, if you have any PayPal links or Venmo or Cash App, any kind of thing for facilitates money transfer so we can donate a few bucks to you tomorrow, please send that along too. You can send that through regular email if you don't want to do it through the chat.
I don't have any of those accounts.
You don't have PayPal? Then I will. Then we will. I just want to give people. I just like to give people the opportunity to pass around the plate. But
Yeah.
I'll definitely pass the link to your book. It's easy to remember title. I will be able to find that on Amazon, and I'll take care of that for you. And I hope this boosts up some sales. I hope you've been seeing some sales because it looks like you are making the rounds, going everywhere to read. So I hope it bears you fruit.
Hope so. Thank you. Thank you all. It's nice to be with you.
Thank you guys very much, and I appreciate all of you staying and to listen. I appreciate DeWitt Clinton. I hope you come back to us. We meet every Wednesday night, so if you'd like to come back and listen again, if it's not too much beyond your time zone, we'd love to have you.
I'm a little earlier.
What's that?
I'm a little earlier, so I don't have to.
That's true. That's true. Now that I think about it, it's not like you're in France, but yes, it'd be good to have you back.
Thank you.
And with that, I will bid you all very much a good night, and stay tuned for the links tomorrow, and stay tuned for the video tomorrow of DeWitt's feature at Stone Soup. You can hear it all over again. Stay tuned for the Stone Soup Croutons poem, which I will do as a tribute piece / word cento of everything we heard tonight. And thanks once again to the feature and all of you. This is where we do the obligatory wave. So we have a little still shot to show tomorrow.
Thanks for sticking with me, Chad.
What's that?
Thanks for sticking with me.
Not a problem, Chris. Thank you. And thank you guys very much. And we will see you next week. More announcements coming for a feature on the 30th. There'll probably be an all open mic next week. And we have a return Stone Soup regular from years of old, pre me taking over, coming back. So more will be announced as we come, and some new faces. Looking forward to it. Can be like this every week, people. All we need is you. Thanks so much, and looking forward to spending National Poetry Month and Stone Soup's 51st anniversary with you. Have a good night, everyone, and thank you again, once again, DeWitt.
Good night.
Good stuff, DeWitt.
Thank you.